Welcome everybody to Seacrest Village. For those of you who have never been here before, this is a very special place. We're here today to honor our friend, our father, our brother, cousin, and Doc Gilbert. My name is Carl Wieser. I'm the CEO and president here at Seacrest, and I have had the honor of knowing the Gilbert family for the last 9.5 years. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to do today. First of all, can everybody please turn off their phone? We have to say this all the time around here, but it's really helpful if you're on silent, and then we can all hear and feel part of this service. It's more of a celebration than a service, okay? And Ellen thought that was really important. And what we'd like to do today is we have some people who want to say some things, obviously, but it's also your time to say something. And we're going to have microphones that we can bring around. If you're not comfortable coming up here, because I know this is intimidating, please, right now think of a story if you'd like, of Doc, something that you want to say. It could be 5 seconds, it could be about 30 seconds to a minute, because we'll be here all night, I'm sure. So after we talk a little bit, we have some music. A couple of our amazing employees here who know Doc very well. They want to play a couple songs, so you're going to get some live music. And then we're going to have a few videos, okay? But before that, we would love for you to go get some food, okay? Our culinary department did a beautiful job back here. Just go get some nosh, just a little bit. It's not dinner, it's not lunch, but just something. Come back and visit with each other. We'll watch a few movies, and then we're just want you to relax, talk about the Gilbert family, talk to each other, catch up, and no rush. Spend the whole afternoon here if you'd like. I would assume our program will take about 45 minutes to an hour, but that doesn't mean that it's over then, okay? So, with no further ado, Ellen would like to say some things.
First of all, for those, I think most of you know me. My name's Ellen Edwards. I am the oldest of the Gilbert girls, and my sister Randy is right here. And my husband Larry is over right there in the back. Any minute now we are expecting our niece Hannah. She's just going to be a little bit late. But I just wanted to tell you that when this idea came to us, I never imagined that it would turn out to be something as grand as this. And with so many people coming in from, Marco came from Virginia, I know Jerry came from Arizona, Oregon, Dan came from Oregon, from LA, and all because of Dad. And I'm just overwhelmed by the number of lives that he touched, and just forever grateful. Especially for the people here at Seacrest. This has really become our second home. My parents started out here in memory care, and then as my dad progressed on his journey, he moved into the Goldberg facility. We have met the most wonderful, caring, empathetic, compassionate employees that treat us just like we're family. And it's just amazing. I just will have to tell you, the morning that my father passed, I got here first, and my dad, they had him they had that pillow. This pillow was right next to him, and in his charger blanket, and they have just treated my father and my mother too, and us with so much love. Starting with Pam, we met Pam when we first came here, and she's been like a sister to me here in San Diego, and we've celebrated weddings, funerals, and we've always had caregivers like Glenn and Ed who have brought my parents everywhere, and I just want to thank you and just let you know how touched Randy and I and Hannah and John and Larry are, and I will now turn it back to Carl, and have a good time, and thank you again.
Okay, I have a little agenda here. Well, I don't believe this first speaker needs an introduction, but Dan, why don't you come on up? Dan's going to talk to you. This gentleman has been at Seacrest more Sundays than I have been, and I work here. And I want to thank you so much for coming, and thank you for all you've done for this family.
Guys, go ahead and eat. Thank you. We had a video plan that talks a little bit about Doc Gilbert and about the kind of man he was. And we had a little get-together with some team players and staff members. And he blurted out, while we were having fun and laughing around, he got our attention by saying, "You know, boys, we didn't win the big one, but we beat everybody else." I first became a patient of Dr. Gilbert when I had plantar fasciitis. I went in to see him, and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, the bottom of my foot is killing me." He said, "Take your pants off, let's take a look." Well, that became a habit of his, and I know he told a lot of people the same thing. But that became the start of a great friendship of nearly 50 years with a guy we all knew as Feets. Feets was fun to be around. His wit, his snark, his New York attitude, his outlook on life. We shared many rounds of golf together. We ate dinner at Old Trieste, Dick and Shirley's favorite restaurant. His work with the Chargers was meaningful and a defining part of his career and his life. His collaborative work with our doctors and trainers, Marco and Hambone, James Collins among them, was so critical to our success as a team. His background as a pioneer in sports podiatry and sports medicine is unmatched. He literally is the godfather of the foot. But it was on the sidelines during games that where his involvement was truly unique. You know, I'd come over to the sidelines for that 2-minute talk to the coaches during those critical times, right at the end of the game, and there he would be, right between Coryell and Hannafin, Dave Levy, sticking his proboscis right in the middle of the road, listening intently. But that was Feets. He never said anything at the time, but after we beat the Raiders in the AFC West Championship game in 1981, I remember coming to the sideline with the victory well in hand and having him grab me and yelling, "We beat those bastards." Many of you, I hope, have read Mitch Albom's wonderful memoir, Tuesdays with Morrie. It's a chronicle of Albom's weekly meetings with his former college professor, who was terminally ill with cancer. Morrie shared his life lessons with Mitch and taught him about what matters most. When Dick tragically lost his daughter Lori after her heroic actions, and after the isolation and uncertainty of the COVID pandemic, my wife Jerry said we need to stay in touch with Feets better. Well, since we live in Oregon, we talked to Ellen about setting up a way for us to stay connected. And with the help of Katie, Glenn, Ed, Rick, Sharon, Pam, and all of the amazing staff members here at Seacrest, in April of 2020, we started a weekly Zoom with Dick. It became our treasured Tuesdays with Dick. We talked about his life growing up in Brooklyn, attending Taft High School, then Ohio State, where he claimed to have played shortstop. He shared his memories of being a style boy at Yankee Stadium. Now that meant he turned the turnstiles at the VIP entrance. And the players' wives thought he was so cute, they brought him sandwiches. He told us of meeting the love of his life, Shirley, and of his pride and joy he felt for his beautiful daughters, Lori, Ellen, and Randy, and their families. For the Charger friends that couldn't visit, but let me backtrack a little bit about Dick. You all know he had a thing about gambling. Especially came to what he called, quote, the best team that money could buy, the LA Dodgers. Well, Jerry and I indulged his habit, and we would engage him often to place a $1 wager on a wide range of sporting events. In college football, we'd pick the Oregon Ducks, of course. He'd pick his Buckeyes. In baseball, we'd pick our Padres, and he, of course, went for the Dodgers. And when it came to the NFL, we were all in agreement. It had to be the Chargers. Even the Los Angeles Chargers. Dick was so beloved by his players and staff that in 2023, Jerry and I organized a mini reunion of players who lived locally. Ellen and Larry arranged for the decor and his favorite sandwiches and sweet treats, and the room was overflowing with memories, laughter, and love. For the Charger friends who couldn't visit, we sometimes added them to our Tuesdays with Dick. We had great conversations with our friends Rolf, Big Louie, Charlie, Hank, Big Ed, Donnie, an incredible, meaningful time shared with Eric Sievers, who Dick loved dearly. We met Rick Schloss here at Seacrest for fun Jersey Mike's picnics that features Dick enjoying 2 bites of his roast beef sandwich and all of the brownies. Over the years, a special thread that ran through it all was Dick's love of music and playing YouTube videos of Frank Sinatra, Glenn Miller, Tony Bennett. We went from My Way to In the Mood to what we learned was Dick and Shirley's favorite, Because of You. Towards the end, there were times that you weren't really sure if Dick was awake or aware that we were on the call. So we would cue up Because of You and just let it play. His eyes were closed, and every so often, an eyebrow would raise, and his lips would move along. At the end, his eyes would pop open, and we'd say, Dick, did you enjoy that? And he'd beam and say, absolutely. I'd like to close with just a message from Dick from the Charger reunion 2 years ago. His words are thoughtful and eloquent, and what Jerry and I believed he would have all wanted us to remember today. And I quote, "You can see from this gathering today what it means to be loved and to love, because this is a team that had lots of love. Things we will never forget. Pictures on the wall tell it. Just a brief description of what we all went through. You can't take away memories. You sure as hell got a lot of memories, don't we? We didn't win the big one, but we won every other one. We love you, Feats. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for your inspiration. Thank you for bringing us all together and what it means to be loved and to love because of you."
Thank you, Dan. That was beautiful. Absolutely. So I'm just going to say a couple words about Doc. So I have a little bit different view of him than you all do. We work together in a different way. And every year, around April 1st or April 15th, the Charger schedule will come out. Now you need to know a little something about me. I'm a Charger season ticket holder since 1992 and still am. Still am. Yes, in the LA Chargers. It's okay though. Every year when that schedule came out on the internet, I don't think Doc had much access to the internet, to be honest with you, but I would print out that schedule and I would run down to his room because I always went to the Chiefs game in Kansas City, and I have to start thinking about that in April, believe it or not. You never know if it's going to be in August or in December. And we used to talk about the schedule and who's, obviously we have the Broncos and the Raiders and the Chiefs on the schedule, but who else is coming into town? I mean, he would talk about the Chargers almost like it was religion. And I really, really love that, and I'll miss that every April 15th. So, I was supposed to be in Kansas City this weekend. You know, we're going to the Chiefs. And Doc, I stayed home for you. I'm going to miss it. Probably the first win in around 7 years. But I will always remember Doc Gilbert in April when that schedule comes out. So, the next person I'd like to invite up to the mic is Marco Howard.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First off, I want to say it's really great to see everyone here as we celebrate the life of a truly remarkable man. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mark Howard. Dr. Gilbert always called me Marco, never called me anything else. Or I called him Doc or Feets. That's how I addressed him for our entire time together. That was a name that Rick Smith tagged with him back in the early days of Chargers Feets. I first met Doc when I was a rookie 18-year-old trainer for the San Diego Chargers in 1976. Over those 13 years with the team, Doc became a mentor for me, not just in all things feet, but in life. And I have been lucky to know him for nearly 50 years. As Dan said, Feets was a pioneer in podiatric sports medicine. He taught me everything about foot and ankle injuries and how to treat them. But more than that, he gave me wisdom and guidance as a friend. Something to always be eternally grateful for. After I left the Chargers, I went to Oasis Sports Medical Group. Not long after, Doc followed. He was always great to have around because he would, in between patients, come to the nurses' station and tell some of his funny stories that he always had in his hip pocket. Classic Feets, always looking for a great laugh. Eventually, I moved to northern Nevada, and we lost touch for the time being. But life has a way of bringing people back together. When my dad got sick with Alzheimer's due to a number of falls, he was here at Seacrest. And I want to first give a shout out to Seacrest because my dad is here, and you guys gave my dad the best care possible, and I'm eternally thankful for that. One day I was visiting Dad in the activity center across the way, and we were listening to music because he had Alzheimer's and he had a very tough time, but music seemed to soothe him. Halfway through the performance, a man and a woman were wheeled into the activity room, and the lady seemed a little confused, and the man was trying to comfort her. They didn't come all the way in, they wheeled them out. Later at the nurse's station, I went to see them again. But I really didn't pay much attention there until I heard his voice. And all of you know he had a unique voice. And I've heard it a million times, and it could only be one person, Feets. So I looked down and I said, "Is that Dr. Gilbert, DPM, San Diego Chargers team physician?" And he was confused, and he looked up at me and he says, "Is that you, Marco?" And I said, "The one and only." And I'll never forget it because he recognized my voice, and from that point on, I made it my point to visit him regularly. From that time, every time I came to see my dad, I would go over and visit Doug Wilkerson over at the memory care facility, and I'd visit Feets. We tell stories, reminisce about old times, and have a few laughs. On one visit, I brought Beaver and Hambone and Dickton, who's the trainer for the Padres, and we just sat here and told stories and told lies, basically. Let me give you a little glimpse of what it was like working with Feets. He was always fun because he had a new story every time he came in. But when it came to taking care of the players, he was all business. If you worked with him or were treated by him, you know what I mean. Early in my career, I didn't know his routine. Whenever he saw players in the training room, he needed an assistant, usually the trainer that was available to help him. Well, one day after practice, I was that lucky trainer. I had no idea what he did. I had no idea what he wanted, and so I just walked in, and he was trimming the players' ingrown toenail, and his glasses were down over his nose, and he was busy doing this. And I was there, and without looking up, Feets goes, "Humpty Hump," and I'm going, "What is that? I have no idea what he's talking about." He said it again, "Humpty Hump, Humpty Hump." And then he lifted up and he goes, "Marco, that's the Humpty Hump I need." He pointed to an instrument on the tray. As it turned out, I was supposed to be a mind reader. I needed to know what he needed before he even asked for it. There's another story about Dan's plantar fascia injury, and this one was a funny one. It really captures what Doc was all about. One day, he was treating Dan's plantar fascia, and we're in the back. I had his routine down cold now. Feets is there, palpating around his heel, looking for a place to inject. I had everything ready. So he says the magic word, "Humpty Hump." I gave him a beta 9 swab. Cleans the area. "Humpty Hump." The syringe. So Doc brings a syringe up to Dan's heel, and right about when he's supposed to put the needle in the skin, his hand started shaking. I don't mean just a little bit, I mean a lot. I thought, is he going to be able to hit that spot? Did he just get Parkinson's disease? I think, Dan, you said something to the effect, "Doc, are you going to be able to hit the spot?" And we were laughing. But right when he got ready to put the needle in the skin, his hand went steady as a rock. Put the injection in, dropped the syringe, and he looked up. "You guys doubted me?" And I know we were laughing at that point because we went, that's the way Doc was. He always had a sense of humor. But here's the thing. Feets was a pro's pro. Players, trainers, coaches, everyone loved him. And he was a vital part of the team. So, as we celebrate Dr. Gilbert today, let's remember what made him special. His dedication, his professionalism, and his ability to bring laughter and warmth wherever he went. He wasn't just a pioneer in sports medicine. He was a mentor, a storyteller, and a friend who left a mark on all of us. Doc taught me that life isn't just about what we do, it's about how we treat people along the way. And he treated everyone with kindness, respect, and with a little humor. So today, as we honor his memory, let's carry forward his legacy of compassion and excellence. Keep telling the stories, keep sharing the laughs. That's what he would want. And remember, the man who made such a difference in all of our lives. Rest easy, Feets. You'll always be a part of our team. Thank you.
All right, we do have another speaker, but before we go to the next speaker, Ellen really valued the staff here, and we as staff wanted to show some love and respect, and we have a couple of performers here from our Life Enrichment group. Ed and Rick were a big part of Doc's life, okay? They play music, they do, we call it life enrichment, right? And that's exactly what it is. So come on, you guys gotta get set up. I asked them what the name of their band was. Rick and Ed. So, with no further ado, I present to you, on stage tonight, and tonight only, Ed and Rick.
Thank you. I'm Ed Burr. I'm a life enrichment specialist here, and this is Rick Dial. Rick and I have been playing music for our residents together for 4 years or so. And we would stop in Dr. Gilbert's room, one of our favorites, absolutely. And before I do start this first number, we'll do 2 numbers. I will tell you a quick story that I've already been touched on. Dr. Gilbert loved Because of You. And every time we would play that for him, he would go, Shirley, are you listening? Very sweet. Okay, so our first number is What a Wonderful World. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed days and the dark, sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also in the places of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, Doc, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. Come back with me. Oh, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Good job. Keep listening both at the same time. Okay, so the next one is Fly Me to the Moon. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. 'Cause you are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, in other words, in other words, I love you. Rest in peace, Dr. Geek.
Wow, wasn't that great? I can just see Doc saying, Shirley, can you hear this? I can totally see that. That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. All right, this next speaker, remember I told you in 1992 I bought those Charger tickets, right? Well, I needed a job to pay for those tickets, and I started working here at Seacrest, and Pam Ferris, who you're all about to meet, devoted her life to this place. 35 years she worked her whole career here. I knew her when that guy sitting next to her was in her belly. That's how long ago, Drew. So, with no further ado, I want to introduce she's my mentor and my friend, Pam Ferris.
nice introduction, Carl. You didn't treat me that well when I worked with you. It's nice to see everybody today. It's really beautiful to be back here at Seacrest. My son's telling me he can't hear me. It's great to be back here. I retired about 1.5 years ago, but that was after a long journey that I got to spend with Dr. Gilbert, because I was here when he moved in. And I have a lot of stories to share, and some of them are very funny and some of them are sad, but I'm going to stick to the funny ones today because I want this to be light. But I will tell you, I met Dr. Gilbert when Shirley moved in, and the family really wanted Dr. Gilbert and Shirley to move here, but Dr. Gilbert wasn't having it, and he knew that Shirley needed the help, but he didn't think he needed the help. So one morning, we gave him a trial residency, we call it. So he had an apartment in our independent living building. And so Charlie Rosen, who's here today too, a longtime friend, was on the board at the time. And we had a plan that we were going to have breakfast with Dr. Gilbert, just so he could get a little more comfortable with us and certainly with me, and see if maybe we could sort of help introduce him a little bit more to Seacrest so he might get more comfortable being here. And I didn't really know Dr. Gilbert. I didn't know much about his history. I knew he was a physician for the Chargers. But it wasn't until I started talking about my son, who was on some NFL teams briefly, and his ears just, that's it. That's all it took. He and I became long-lost buddies. Couldn't really talk about the ins and outs of football because I don't know that much about it, but I listened to him. And as I worked here longer, it turned out that he did decide to move here, which was to all of our great surprise and good fortune, really. He would light up whenever we talked about football. He really lit up when so many of you came to visit, and certainly his family. But it was really all of you that kept him going, aside from the wonderful staff that we're all talking about, because he was beloved to them, and I think he beloved them. But it was really the love that he got from all of you, and so I have to say, as I think about him, and I didn't know him in his younger years. We don't know people when they're younger, we know them when they get here. Because usually they're a little older. So he shared with me so many great stories about his experience on the Charger team and being with all of you, and it was just very wonderful. And after the dark period that he experienced, what I learned and saw in him was what you probably already saw earlier in his life, but the resilience of him to keep going was incredible and extraordinary and not expected, and I don't think any of us would have expected it, but he was there for the remainder and made the best of every single day. And I want to thank Dan and Jerry for their love and keeping things going and staying connected. We made it through COVID, and we made it through the loss of his daughter, and I learned a lot from him, and I'm so grateful to have known him and the family, who I really do consider my family now. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Carl.
Okay, this is the part of the day which we love around here. Believe me, it doesn't have to be a long story. It doesn't have to be really deep or anything like that. But Katie has a microphone, and you don't have to come up here, but if you'd like to just say something, now's the time. We don't always get that. Sometimes we go to these memorials, and it's all about up here. But this is about you and what you're feeling. So if you have anything, don't be shy. Raise your hand. Raise your hand, and we will have some story. And it usually takes 1 or 2 people to get things going. Here we go. It's like an auction. Do I have 25?
25. It's nobody likes to go first. Somebody's got to go first. Larry Whiteson, and thank you for sharing the story about Dick when he first came here, because we've known the Gilbert family forever, the Stardust days. And my mother had a couple strokes, came to Seacrest. My dad didn't belong here. If you ask my dad, he didn't belong here. He definitely belonged here. And so he came right after my mom, so it was great to hear the story that her dad didn't belong here either. They sure fit in well together, and I was thankful that for me and my brothers, that we had the Gilberts with my parents at their table. And we always got to reminisce about Stardust days, playing golf together, and it was always wonderful when Dick would bring his drumsticks to the table and play a little music. It's a great family. It's good to be with your family and your Charter family and friend family here today. So thank you.
I'll make it quick because I could talk a long time about Dr. Gilbert. So everybody knows how much Dr. Gilbert loved to gamble, right? I know a bet that he didn't take. He said Gene Klein was the worst golfer of all time. She was playing golf with the Rancho Santa Fe course. Gene Klein had enough of this, and he said, all right, we're going to play this next hole, and if you beat me, I'll pay for your daughter's wedding. If you lose, you owe me the money. And he did not take the bet.
You guys are going to have to help me out with this one. But do you remember when Doc got hit on the sidelines? First of all, what the hell was he doing on the sidelines? And here's the thing. He would get, with all due respect to the doctors, Chow, all you guys, there's no reason a doctor has to be during a play right next to the coach all the time, unless, of course, you want some TV time. Okay. Which Doc Gilbert was, he had a little romance with the camera, I'm not gonna lie. But I'll never forget, I always told Doc, I said, Doc, I said, be careful, because it's dangerous. And we're on a punt return, and I'll never forget this, I'm gonna block this guy, and he's a contained guy, and here comes a return guy down the sideline, and this guy never saw me coming. And it's as hard as I've ever hit anybody in my life, and knocked him completely, full speed, into guess who? And that piece of film was run over and over and over 100 times the next morning. And poor Doc, do you remember this day? You guys remember this? And poor Doc was on the bench, and he had his shoulder, he put a coat over. There's a famous picture. Do you have it? Do you guys have the picture?
There's a picture. He had that picture on his wall, but there's probably a picture.
Yeah, but Doc, he was not going to leave the sideline. And that was Doc Gilbert. We love him. We miss him. I think at the end of the day, when you say my life was better because somebody was in it,
Thank you. My name is Bob Hood. I had the privilege of working for the Chargers for 17 years, starting in the lowly position of water boy and finished as a business manager. I got to work with all these wonderful people, had a great time. But I've known Doc Gilbert probably longer than anybody in this room other than his daughters, because I worked for the Marine Corps football team when I was 15 years old, and Doc was in the dispensary. See the Navy hat over there. I thought I could be a football player one time, played flag football, got my arm injured. I was a dependent. My dad took me to Navy Hospital. The doc looks at it and goes, oh, you're fine. You can probably play tomorrow. The next day it was worse. I went in to see Doc Gilbert. He looked at it and goes, let me look this up. He looked it up, he goes, and you didn't hear him use an expletive very often, but he said, you were seen by a blank ophthalmologist for an arm injury? He made one call. I was in surgery the next day and had my arm repaired. One other story about Doc. These guys will remember we always had physicals down in the locker room. There was a big line of people going through, all the players. As staff members, we would take advantage of that as well. So I remember going through the line, and I came up up to Doc and he goes, looked at my ears and he goes, you still able to see through with your ears? And I go, no, I don't see through my ears. I hear through my ears. He said, see those 50 guys that went ahead of you? Not one of them answered that question correctly because they were scared to death in this line. His sense of humor was unbelievable. I am privileged to have known him for over 65 years. And to the family, you were the luckiest girls in the world because you had the greatest dad that I would ever think was available.
Okay. So what we have planned next is we all want you to have something to eat, okay? Go back and mingle and grab some stuff, and feel free to come back here. We're going to show a couple of things on the big screen, which will be nice to catch up. But most importantly, catch up with each other. Now's the time. And thank you so much for coming. Rest in peace, Doc. And we'll hope you all feel some comfort for today. And thank you, Alan, for getting us together.